Okay, everybody, we're back. Technical difficulties made the draft board not working properly, and everyone blame the admins, and then blame me for this stream being scuffed. But we should have it underway very shortly, and I'll let JK and Goober continue from here.
Yeah, if we want to, we can real quick. There were a couple of picks made while we were getting some of those technical difficulties made out. We did pause it for the time being, but we can go ahead and rattle off a few of those. First seven came out. It looks like Lethe Doctor going to Hacker Haven, Flo getting picked up by UPS, AVI getting Cool Adam, God Hunter going to ACA, OS picking up Junior, Claymorn going to Nan, and DRG picking up Vampyworm. And to note, a couple of those names were the Oppers mentioned earlier, as well as one of the higher tier challenger players or higher ranked challenger players. And so some very good first picks coming out for these teams. And we have a ton of keepers coming up as well too on these first couple of rounds, which is not something where I'm used to seeing, at least. So tons of keepers coming up here.
Absolutely. And it looks like BCH just picked up Yes. Crazy name, but count it. It's kind of interesting to see that these oppers did not interesting, but it's nice to see that these oppers went as fast as they did.
No, absolutely. Definitely something that these GMs don't want to leave on the table for too long. And as we wait for the draft board to update here, we do have a couple of other picks coming in. It looks like GRN picking up Tori 4K.
Hopefully
We
he's always
have,
good for his 4.
yeah, you would hope so with a name like Tori 4K. And we have Loopers going to the Whimsical Whiffers and
I believe that's a
Sinky.
keeper pick for them. He was
Oh, that is a keeper
super
pick.
solid last year. In the couple of times that we played him, he was always consistent. Granted, hopefully he's a little more. Hopefully he moves a little more on the map. I always knew where his position and where he was going to be, but in terms of like head-to-head fights, it wasn't easy to take him from him.
No, absolutely. I've actually played a couple of games with and against Floopers, and he is absolutely a player to watch out for. And as we continue to go through, it looks like the draft board still might be having some issues. We do have a ton of keepers coming through, so we'll just name off some of these picks. We did get Sinky there. And there it goes, finally updating. If you want to rattle off a few of these on that first round.
Absolutely. So right after Floopers, Hackers picked up Sinky. Final Girl picks up Just a Guy. 19th Hole keeps Laws. Counterspell keeps THG. High Rollers pick up Enzy. Red Room have Griffin OG. And Atlantis keep Neat's Wreckage. Neat's Wreckage is actually one of the players that he was the player that I was actually talking about that kind of was picked up by ATL later in the season and just turned into a demon in the end game.
And yeah, I hope to think that, or excuse me, I think that we see a lot of those players too. A lot of those late round pickups from teams are really, really critical to their success. And I think it's just those players finding a place where they feel comfortable. And maybe that's the case there. And then we will move on actually to the second round where we already have some keepers. Archer being kept by Headhunters Guild, ATL keeping X Diedrich, and Upsetty Spaghetti keeping Pulse.
And then the High Rollers immediately picking up Noir, ACA. A little early for ACA, sorry. AG picking up Slippers, AVI picking up Javi, FNL picking up Exit, and DRG almost Kingsnake. Wrong org, but count it.
It would have been a little more fitting to see him maybe playing on the side of Boa, but Exit, a fantastic pick, actually, a name I recognize. An excellent player going to FNL there. And another one here, Spiros, actually getting picked up by Red Room. And then that will be Shock Dizzle being kept by the 19th hole, and another pick from Beach, which is Zontix Mew. And then we have a whole ton of keepers as we go through. King Snakes keeping Sainted, Nan keeping Cramden, Counterspell keeping Goober, shout out Goober, Academics keeping Please More, The Greenhouse keeping Bungus, wonderful name Bungus. OS keeping Spence, and the King Snakes keeping Harams.
And then one more keeper with a visual, but also shout out to Goober shouting out himself.
Gotta rep the brand. Shouting out Goober for all the Wiz players.
Fair, fair. I do. It will be interesting to just kind of sit back and just watch how all of this plays out in Challenger this season. I am already missing playing, to be honest, but it'll be good being on like this side of it, just watching every game.
It is
Red Room pick up
definitely
Burby.
it is definitely exciting to be on the watching side of the games. You get to see everything from a whole new perspective. And I think if anyone hasn't had the opportunity to try and hop and stream sometime, because you will get an experience like no other. It is really fantastic. There's a bunch of great folks here in media, and they make it a great time.
Absolutely. One more shout out to Konatoki for this.
Absolutely.
As well
Kontoki
as
coming in
everybody
clutch.
else.
And yeah, anyone who helped out with those earlier technical difficulties.
High Rollers pick up Mott's 888. Very, very European name with the triple letters. I forget what 888 means. Typically those letters like stand for like LOL or things like that. Like 666 is LOL. If like that's why Donk was Donk 666 for a while, and like Alex 666 who's on Nip right now.
I had no idea actually. But yeah, no, Mott's actually a very, very high peaking player here, a 1.93 peak in his combines this season. And
Oh
he
my
has a
goodness.
overall rating of a 1.23, and he actually has the number one in cast. So not only is he dishing out damage, but he is staying alive. And man, this is some really impressive stats coming across from him. But moving on to a couple of other picks here, we have Parrish going to UPS and Wiz picking up that Fluid.
Fluid, correct. And then NA pick up Metal Gear Jesus. The few games that I casted from combines, Metal Gear Jesus, I don't think I watched him lose a game. He was super consistent from what from what I saw. It looked like he was constantly like calling for utility. There was only a couple fights that he wasn't like in an advantageous position. He was always playing around his teammates well.
Yeah, no, absolutely a name that I think a lot of people are going to recognize in CSC. And we have a couple other picks coming in here. HG picking up Kupo and CMK. And then another one coming in for 19th hole picking up Zertlex.
And Order of the Samurai are keeping Nutty. Nutty last season was a problem on the op to go up against. We played them on, I believe it was Overpass, and I don't want to do that again. But it's always a good time going up against a fun opper. And King
Some of
Snakes
these
pick up
players.
Jake.
Oh, and we have a few more rolling in now too. Okay, so yeah, we have Jake getting picked up by the King Snakes, and I believe these are keepers, therefore Atlantis, Greenhouse, and All Good. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So
With
T Jedski, how do you pronounce that? Oh
T
goodness.
Jedi Ski, call it that. Greenhouse keep Vin. All Good get Mike. FNL Final Girl pick up Caterham. And ACA with the keeper pick of Clipsy. There's a little bit of like love that comes out from my old org, but Clipsy is like one of the best mid round and second callers. He knows pretty much every piece of util from like top door smoke to just like an obscure long flash. Like he's just a wealth of knowledge, and he's always good to have on a team.
Those support
Final Girl
players are
keep Doodle as
hypercritical.
well. Yeah, having a good support system in your team, and especially somebody that's just like good vibes and it just enjoys pugging.
Also, shout out Doodle. That's the name of my cat. And we have Boa keeping Havo, and DRG taking Flaw Wingo, and Boa with full cap. So I assume that he doesn't tell the truth a lot, is what I am to believe.
Don't trust that guy's callouts. I hate myself for that joke, but it was a softball.
They're the great.
UPS pick up Buckler the Great.
Buckler here looking like a fantastic rifle pickup and a good support pickup for UPS. As we go through some of these players, I will be rattling off some of their stats for the season and how they will hopefully help their team, like CNR here getting picked up by the 19th hole. Rated as an entry player with a high peak of 1.73 through combines. And actually in the top 10 for trade kills. So that's going to be really, really good, especially for an entry.
Having people that just know how to keep their spacing around teammates and just get those proper info trades or even just like full on multi trades are going to be so important, especially having people that can just multi kill. Also, a 1.73 peak is ridiculous. Hopefully that form stays. But
Absolutely.
UPS pick up JKB and Headhunters Guild pick up Nerve. ATL
Nerve
finding
here.
Infernal.
Ooh, Infernal. That's a great name.
How about HG and Nerve? I heard you have his name popped up already.
Oh, I was going to say Nerve, interestingly, I'm not seeing any stats for Nerve, so this one could be a wild card, actually. It pulls up, but I don't have any stats for him.
They've rattled off a few quick ones. All good with Wolfie. Greenhouse find Tex. Beachkeeper with
Woodshed Wonder?
I guess, yeah, that's what that says as it goes off the page. But HG with Char, and then NA Nades get Megabyte.
OS picking up Jazzer, and then we have a ton of keeps here, so we'll rattle these off real quick. UPS keeping Wari, High Rollers keeping Clutch, Red Room keeping Nick, Pact of Embers keeping Ryzen. Maybe that's pronounced Ryzen? That one could be wrong. We have AVI taking, keeping Samaj. Digital, staying with AVI. UPS, keeping Bob Finna Rob. What a fantastic name. And I think that was our first actual pick there on CAF, was it, for the academics?
That's a great pick. He IGL'd for us last season. He's been around forever in CSC and in just the game of Counter-Strike itself. His insights of the game are super interesting to hear.
And then Ed will be kept. Dr. Doom getting kept by Nan. And Cam, I also believe, is a keeper, and that's going to Headhunters Guild. Ton of keepers coming in on this final round where they are actually able to keep these players, so not surprising to see in the slightest. And I'm getting information now that Samaj may have been James backwards, which makes a lot more sense.
It's spelled Samaj, we'll call it Samaj. No. Yeah. He's Samaj last season. Sometimes it felt like I was fighting Donk, and sometimes it felt like I was fighting a Silver, and I could never find out which one it was in the fight until I lost.
You want to rattle off some of those keepers as we get towards the end here?
Absolutely. So we have
that starts
the
a King XVX
keeping
there for Beach.
Beach keeping King XVX, 19th hole keeping Barricade, All Good keeping Bible Clinger, HH keeping Jeff, Atlantis Agrava, Agravia, Greenhouse keeping Evolution, Counterspell keeping Chilled Pyro. I would like to say Chilled Pyro last season was phenomenal. He
definitely deserved to be on that second round keeper spot over me. I'm gonna have to talk to my GM about that one. But no, Chilled is fantastic. Chilled is really amazing.
The couple scrims that I had against him, like just doing 10 mans in your guys' server, he was just good vibes and just a great player. But to continue, we have High Rollers with Clueless, Red Room with JAL or Jal. Final Girl have Bonk. Could be a crazy pickup if he's anything like his synonym. Floyda from Pact of Embers. Hunters Guild getting Yoshi 2-2. FNL picking up Blaze V1. UPS finding Dark. King Snakes get LW. Counterspell picking up Gib. Goob, what do you know of Gib?
So Gib, this is a player who I'm actually not familiar with, but it almost sounds like Goob, so I'm sure we're going to get along great. He has a wonderful peak of a 1.52, and he's very consistent, keeping it at about a 1.03 through his combines. This is a player who I'm very excited to meet. I don't know if I've had the chance to play with him in combines before, but it will be cool to scrim with him here as we are likely going to pop into, at least I'm going to pop into my franchise server after this, just like I suggest everyone else getting picked up today does. Go introduce yourselves if you haven't already and you've already gotten picked, but we do have a couple more coming in here. Zard going to AVI, Pooks with OS, and Zach083 going to 19th hole. And even on the sixth round here, some of these players have some amazing stat lines. Like Zach here has top 10%, or he's in top 10 of headshot percentage across all challenger combines, and he has a peak of 1.71. So a lot of these players have very high ceilings. So it's going to be really, really scary to see if they can unlock that potential in a 5-man.
And for everybody that's first season kind of tuning into this, Team CS is so different to like your premier games or even your face it games where people take the game more seriously. It's more fun being in a 5-man because you're just with the same people day in and day out, and you kind of you start getting to like know everybody through scrims or even like officials, and it's just better Counter-Strike. It's how the game should be played.
100%. I agree. And I don't think anyone in CSC would probably disagree with that sentiment. It's a completely different game when you have a full 5 and you're consistently practicing and playing together. And finding that 5, we do have Beach picking up DTTHR33. If that's pronounced some way, I apologize for not doing it. But we have DRG picking up an acoustic dog as opposed to an electric dog. Red Room with GCL. All good picking up Walk. And Kickin going to the Academics. High Rollers with Rock. And ATL picking up Chance.
Currently looking at Kickin. He has one of the most consistent graphs I've seen, as he had 3 games over 1 with insane support stats in terms of flashing and smoke usage.
Oh yeah, no, looking at the flash rating here, he absolutely goes for some of those flash kills. And so that could be critical. He's absolutely filling up the
his
support
average
bracket.
grenades thrown per match is 45.
I don't even know. I know of players who don't even get. I don't know. Excuse me. I know players who haven't thrown that much utility in their entire time playing. So that's a fantastic stat to see. And it looks like that will be our last pick of round 6 going to Hacker Haven. And that's going to be Ronnie or Ronnie. Ronnie filling out an entry role. This is actually a very, very well built player. Looks like they are kind of fitting all of those areas that you may want someone to fill in, even opting a little bit. So that's actually quite an interesting pickup. Surprised to see Ronnie going this late in the draft.
Curious if he just slipped through draft boards or if there was maybe drama with him being picked up this late.
It's always a potential, right? And that's the hard thing with these GM or being a GM is you can always have those players that slip through the cracks. Like Merc, I was talking about earlier. This is someone who I played with, and I think they're a great vibes player, and they were wonderful to have. And so I think him getting picked up for Hacker Haven, he's going to be a good pickup for them.
Absolutely. Having a glue player is so important. Like, I'd say you know him well, but Turtle in Contender is one of the best, just kind of like vibes players you can have. He's good at the game, but he's also he's always good in good spirits, and having that person on your team is just, it makes the game more fun.
100%. And yeah, shout out Turtle, one of the vibiest players we have over here in the Wiz franchise. But we do have Conan S going to the Red Room and High Rollers picking up Party Pickle. That's a wonderful alias.
It's always nice to see in these drafts the new names that pop up. We got like Bible Clinger's a good one. Party Pickle, like there's so many good ones. ACA picking up Lil Frosty. If I could type, I'd have his stats up.
Yeah, Lil Frosty, another player, maybe a bit of a wild card. I'm not seeing any stats pull up for him, unfortunately. So I apologize, Lil Frosty. All good picking up Moses.
If you go to Contender, he played a ton of combines with a peak of 146.
Well, there's no wow, okay, so that's probably why he's all the way up here in Challenger now, so good job, Little Frosty, on the promotion.
Also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He played almost 20 combine games.
So he's a grinder as well. That's another great sign to see in a player. If you see a player with a ton of combine games, absolutely be willing to pick them up because I guarantee you that player is going to be willing to grind in prac. But as we are finishing up here on the Challenger draft board, it looks like Moses goes to all good. NA Nades picking up Eyes with a Z, and it is now just down to HG with that final pick.
Let's see if Mr. This is the NFL's term, not mine, but let's see if Mr. Irrelevant can have their impact on the league this year.
Absolutely. And I think as we start to get out, it
Good.
will be
That is a
R good. Do
fantastic pick.
you think the R stands for really?
I remember Argood being one of the most impactful oppers. I believe it was for high rollers, but they were a demon in the server. That is a very high value pick.
Well, some excellent pickups here from these franchises, and that's going to finish up our challenger draft. So, all of these new drafted players go into your new franchises, say hello, make yourself known, maybe hop into a match with them if they're ready to go. You'll have plenty of time to meet with them as we go into the preseason, but making sure that you are being social will absolutely help, build some of those relationships early on and, maybe up your chances with staying with the team into the regular season. But that being said, I think we're probably going to move to a short break here while we get ready for the elite draft, and we will come back once that is all ready for you.
See you soon.
Are we on stream still?
Welcome back in. This is actually going to be the elite draft that we're going to be looking at. This we're going to go over some of the keeper picks quickly, just that way we're not trying to catch up as when these drafts initially come in. But just taking a quick like once over at the board, seeing Raw going as a red room keeper. That I believe he was around Charlie last season, but he also just an absolute dog. Um, and whenever we did like scrim groups, he was always just a great sport and just a good person to be around in those 10 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Raw is the season 17 challenger champion. Um, what other keepers do we have? I mean, I'm looking top to bottom. BSB from ATL. He was an all-star last season, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not really a surprise to see him. Same with Trademarked. Rye could have easily been an all-star last season. Most of the top uh, keeper picks are definitely going to be like seasoned players that mean a lot to their franchise.
Absolutely. Ryan is combines peaked at a 1.39 for CS counterspell.
Yes, that's my former teammate Rye. Also keeper picks Mills. Mills was one of my teammates last season. Healing Crush. Also our perennial sub from last season. So those guys are all very great players. We wouldn't have won a
Ooh,
championship without them. So
Tryhard Kyle getting moved up for FNL.
yeah, I honestly didn't know much about him. I know that he was on UPS's contender team last season in preseason, and then they cut him, and he was the MVP, and the rest of the contender team was suspect to say the least. But the first pick we got in finally.
I mean, yeah, he was just from what I know from going up against him and some officials in a couple scrims. His positioning and how he got to timings was like perfect. Whenever you'd like practice timings like out of spawn, he would always meet you at that time, and you just had to be ready for it because he wasn't gonna miss a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he does in Elite this season. NA Nades drafting Kenway first overall. High Rollers getting Crowley Poley second overall. I think those guys were both the consensus 1A, 1B. Couldn't really go wrong with either of them. They're great in CSC. They're very active in the chat, which GMs like to see. But those guys are both like disgusting players. They're both very good and both friends, funnily enough.
Kenway being designated opera role for NA Nades with a peak of 171, insane peak for a combine.
Yeah, it's also interesting because NA Nades, if you look on their fifth round keeper pick, um, they have an opper already signed, so they'll be going to the season with two primary oppers.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm curious who they'll give the big green to,
I would
but
assume Kenway because you're investing that much draft stock into him, but you know.
true. See if
Um,
somebody can pick. Hey, the AK's fun to use too, but Aviary pickup scenes, Red Room pickup Tuck, uh, OS picking up Trademarked, and 19th picking up Arthur.
yeah, so I don't know much about Renand or Peru or Sean's. I admittedly did not play many combines this season just because I took a break from playing. But Tuck also in pick six, he's friends with Crowley Poley and Kenway, so all three of those guys being drafted in the top six is really crazy. Big Mac Hot Dog for Greenhouse, I think that guy is really good. Also hilarious name. Um,
It's a good name.
James going to H4K Hacker Haven. That's a pretty on brand pick for them. His mechanics are super super nice. Crazy for the Red Room. He's a long time elite player. Um, Pretty solid. Scorpy going to the 19th hole. That's Scorpy is the lowest MMR elite player and drafted in the second round. That's pretty good. I mean, he was an elite last season for a very strong DRG team, so
He finished off his combine strong with his peak of a 139.
yeah, he's definitely worth whatever MMR cost he is for
He
sure.
is top 10 in 1v2 clutches. Kid's got ice.
um, let's see. We had Shane go to the Aviary. Don't know much about them. Um, Headhunter skill getting Bobob. Bobob, I think, was a very highly rated player, one of the highest MMR players. So honestly, could have seen him going in the first round. Hacker Haven picking up the Fope. He was on their roster last season. High Rollers getting Nile, who is an Opper, to round out the roster. Upsetty Spaghetti keeping Mills. Final Girl keeping Grim. DRG keeping C3. And then I think OS drafting Kieran, who I, again, don't know much about. I don't know if you can pull them up, see if we have anything
Um,
interesting for Kieran.
if I could spell the name right. Kieran is they're one of they're top 10 in 3Ks and 4Ks. Played a ton of combines, looks give or take 15, and only had 3 games under that point 0.1 rating. Or not point 0.1, Jesus. Under the 1.0 rating.
That's a really good sign. Staying consistently above average. Let's see. Okay, we got some more picks and keeper picks. Mono for the greenhouse. I was very interested in Mono last season. Didn't finish out the season, but going into the draft, Mono had one of the best opening duel attempts to opening duel like success ratio. That's something I
He
value like
was
very high.
he was second in KAST. So
That's
pretty
just
much
a sign of a good fragger. Yeah.
every round he was in, he had impact. Whether it's an assist, an opening, that's an insane stat to have. As well as honorable mentions of top 10 headshot, top 10 1v2s, top 10 clutch, and top 10 impact, which is disgusting to have on your profile.
Yeah, I think he was a really solid pickup. Knight being kept for Atlantis. Um, Knight was formerly of HG and was acquired in a mid-season trade with ATL last season. Um, and had a pretty good rest of the season. Maybe even an all-star season. ATL kind of fizzled out in the first round of playoffs, but they played a really good team. But yeah, I think they want to keep the best parts of the ATL roster they had last season, which had BSB, Knight, and Abu as the core. I don't think that Abu came back for this season, but um, Knight and BSB were definitely big parts of that.
Absolutely. And looking at this strike pickup for NA Nades, right away, he's top 1 in kills, top 1 in 2Ks, and top 1 in total 4Ks gotten during combines. But he also played about 20 combine matches.
Yeah, so I mean, combines I think are like stats are good to look at for the DEs. I think it favors them a lot more than free agents or players that are already signed, just because those guys are mostly playing a lot more selfless and trying to let the DEs show what they can do when given a lot of help. And especially also like when you count for some people play 30 combines. Some people play 20. Some people play 10. Some people play 5. So, but like good combine stats for a DE definitely puts them on people's radars and really just gives you something to look at with them.
Absolutely. It's nice seeing how many DEs we have, especially in these like upper tiers. It's really nice to see that this is growing, even though like NA is quote unquote like a weaker region in terms of just the game itself. It's like things like this is how the region gets stronger.
Yeah, definitely Elite I know this season gained I want to say 2 new teams which were given to the 19th hole and maybe Final Girl if I'm correct. I could be wrong. But let's try to speed through these third round picks because we're already almost halfway through the fourth. Scal going to UPS. I don't know much about him. Stir to the greenhouse. Exoskeletal to uh, Headhunters Guild. Um, let's see. Bean Nest to Pact of Embers, another DE. Tugglebub being, I think, drafted by Final Girl. He's a longtime CSC member, so I think that's a solid pickup. He was on a very great H4K team last season. That was the second seed overall. Ashes going to Counterspell. Hacker Haven picking up DKT. Strike for NA Nades we talked about. Tikaya for Headhunters Guild. Nan picking up Ox. I think Ox was a really solid player that was on my radar. Had a above average rating all of last season on a pretty weak team. Real going to the 19th hole. The Aviary picking up JT5, who had formerly been on that team 2 seasons ago before taking a season off. Griffin kept by the Red Room. And the High Rollers getting Eric at the end of the third round. Anything you see or want to talk about?
Just bringing up Ox. Ox ended combines with an average of 1.33. Not like peak, that's his average, which that's NA Nade seems to be picking up just kind of just an insane core of shooters, which it's the basis of the game. In the simplest form of this game, it's who can click heads better. But there is going to be some. I'm curious to see just who's who is like the IGL that you know of for NA
Um,
Nades last season.
I think it was Howe who was moved up to Premier after having a close to MVP season. I expect Kenway to do a decent amount of talking. He's a talkative guy, but I really could not tell you who's going to be their main caller. Um, I'm probably just going to speed through this fourth round also because we are already about to be on the sixth round because of how many keepers on the fifth round. Dirty going to Headhunters Guild. He was a really solid player for H4K last season. NA Nades picking up Crazy Tacos. Funny name. Makes me think of Plants vs. Zombies with Crazy Dave and his tacos. Final Girl. I think keeping Tryhard Kyle like we mentioned before. Troot going to the 19th hole, one of the few oppers in the tier because nobody likes to op. Upsetty Spaghetti getting Bobby D. Kind of funny because we have like Kenny D, Bobby D. We have lots of names that are just Kenny. Headhunters Guild getting Lucky 727, another DE. This round has a decent amount of DEs. White Knight being a DE. Kiai being a DE, I believe. Counterspell keeping Law the GM. He's coming back to play after taking a season off. Aviary keeping Repose, who was on their Challenger squad last season. He had good combines, good regular season last season, I think. Immortals, another DE. Cole for Hacker Haven. High Rollers keeping Rich Money, the GM, and then the Red Room keeping Gitas. Holy moly, I'm going to also do the 5th round because there are so many keepers, and I guess we are very slow talkers.
A little
NA,
bit.
NA
This
Nades
draft is also
getting.
flying. They know who they
Yeah,
want.
these picks are going by quick. These guys just know what they want. I like that. Bale Exter going to NA Nades, who, like we mentioned before, I think is the second opper. High Rollers keeping myself in the 5th round. Um, I'm the best. Everyone who didn't want to sign me, you missed out. Uh, season 18 champion,
He
by the
was a
way.
keeper.
Season 18 champion, by the way. Order of the Samurai keeping Slick Ninjas, who was, I think, promoted up from Challenger because he is very cheap and has been a consistent IGL for that team. They won the most games last season. DRG picking up Dirt Slurpee, or keeping him. Another one of the few oppers in the tier. Aviary keeping Fuffy, their longtime IGL. 19th hole. Finally, we get a DE. Chu Tang. Maybe we'll get to talk a little bit about Chu Tang if we don't fall too far behind. Greenhouse keeping Ping. Greenhouse, they made it to the finals last season. I think Ping is the only remaining player from that roster. I do think that they overachieved a little bit, quite frankly, but they did pick Ping up in the middle of the season and turn their season around from being really poor. So that's good. Atlantis, Spoob, or Cowboy Dan, he is their AGM. Hunters Guild, Leknak. I feel like I'm saying that completely wrong, but you got to have at least 5 people that you cannot pronounce their names to save your life. Upsetty Spaghetti, keeping a Curio, my favorite IGL of all time. He's like Slick Ninjas. He was a challenger at the start of the season and was promoted up to make them very affordable for the MMR. So that's why Upsetty Spaghetti is able to afford Mills and Healing Crush. And then Legs going to the 19th hole. I think he was. I want to say he signed there, one of their few keeper picks. Legs, I think, was really cheap for. Or no, that's Counterspell. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. Yeah, Counterspell getting Legs. He was really cheap. He was on their team last season. I think he's definitely worth his MMR. He's one of the better entry hybrids, I would say. Dark Knight to Final Girl, another DE. We spoke on Raw at the very beginning, and then the High Rollers keeping King, their AGM, with the last pick in the 5th round. We can probably take a little breather now because we have some time.
So you brought up Chu Tang.
Right.
I did see the name in the Twitch chat as I'm monitoring that on my other monitor, but they, with a peak of 142, they finished off combines insanely strong with a 142 followed by an immediate 1-3. Just couldn't quite squeak out going positive with a 289 and a 292, but going positive isn't everything, especially if you're like kind of one of the first ones in, as long as you're like as long as you're getting damage. And honestly, getting that info when you're in entry is, and being able to convey
For
it like
sure.
quickly is so important.
Okay, so maybe we can take this a little slower and I don't have to speak like I'm auctioning off a storage unit. Hacker
Yup.
Haven getting the sperm that won, probably a top 5 insane name of the season. But also pretty funny. It's up there with Big Mac Hot Dog for me, especially in this tier. Arkham going to Upsetty Spaghetti. Final Girl getting Toasty 2K. 19th hole, TLR. Night Bear to Counterspell. Um, Headhunters Guild getting JPC, who is a former 2-time champion, if I'm not mistaken. He took a season off, so probably a pretty good pickup for them this late in the draft. Snake G9 to Upsetty Spaghetti. Rogue Delicious to the Greenhouse, another DE. Seen him type in the chat a couple times. NA Nades getting Preacher. Aviary getting Majestic V. DRG or Pact of Embers getting Severe Psychosis, also known as Nilo. Another top 5 insane names probably. But that's pretty standard for Nilo. Order of the Samurai getting Goose. Hacker Haven getting Rabbit, who another player, I think Rabbit was in the finals 2 seasons ago. Might be completely wrong on that, but former player who took a season off. Stanzel to Atlantis. Another DE. And Nades getting Mikey Z. The High Rollers getting Z Money 54. Fun fact for the uninformed, the 54 in Mr. Z Money's name stems from the fact that he subbed for one elite game last season and had a .54 rating, and he wears it like a badge of honor. So
Getting underneath 0.6 is like low key kind of hard to do. Wearing it like a badge of honor is really funny.
there's multiple gifs of the .54.
Oof, having multiple gifts is oof.
Yeah, I think they're all made by
But-
him though. So we're
Hey, if you gotta laugh, might as well laugh at yourself. But hey, he's an elite. I'm not. I can't even complain. But hopefully, there's been honestly just kind of. I'm just kind of curious. Knowing that now, I'm curious to just kind of watch these elite games and see how they do this season.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot. I mean, rating is only so much of an indicator of what's going on with a player. I mean, that was a sub game going on to, I think, what at the time was a pretty dysfunctional roster. So I mean, you can't take it that serious. And his combines this season have definitely been a lot higher than a .54 rating. So I myself have had games where I've dropped a .3 rating, and I have ended every season above average in rating. So, it happens sometimes, but we cannot put our self-worth down to a number, everyone. You are worth a lot more than your CSC rating, whether
Absolutely.
you think so
when
or
it
not.
comes to your stats, your rating very rare because like our rating system doesn't use 3.0, so it doesn't have like round swing in it yet, which round swing is arguably more important like with the new 3.0. And round swing also uses flash assist and just regular assist, which 2.0 did not for HLTV. Is what I'm talking about. But especially like if you're having a bad game, you're still useful to your team in terms of like communications, utility. Like sometimes you just miss, blow it off, hop in like an aimbots map, click heads for 15 minutes, watch an episode of a show. It's not the end of the world if you don't do well.
For sure. Let's see. We got almost all the picks in. Tacos Brick for Order of the Samurai. That is the second Tacos related player in this draft. Crazy coincidence. Pact of Embers getting Captain. Aviary drafting Big Z. Counterspell drafting Woke. Greenhouse getting Dangus Dan. Dangus Dawn. Danger Dan. I don't know.
Dangus Dawn, probably.
Yeah, we'll go with Dangus Dawn. And then Atlantis getting Shy My Life. Shema Life? My Life? And then it's not updating on the sheet, but I'm looking in transactions right now. It is saying the final pick of the Elite Draft is Kriz. Kriz was a player last season who was a free agent. I know he really wanted to improve. I spoke to him myself because I, wanted to give him some tips, and he is just really looking forward to trying to improve at the game, and I think that's a good thing for any franchise.
Absolutely. Having somebody that's hungry like that
Yeah, for
is so
sure.
important. And also getting the Mr. Irrelevant pick, like that's like that. Like personally, that'd make me more hungry. Like, hey, I went last. Let me show you why that was a mistake.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it back to the casters screen really fast. Not quite sure when we will get to the premiere draft, but it will put us on a be right back and hopefully come back before premiere draft starts. All right,
Welcome
everyone.
back, guys.
We are back with the Premier Draft. I will let JK start us off.
So, welcome back in. As you can see, we're getting some picks in. Jason to NA Nades, Kiri to the Red Room, Kettle to Pact of Embers, and Kowalski to High Rollers. Let's take a peek at Jason, the first overall.
Yeah, Jason is the highest MMR player in all of CSC. He's, I think, the highest elo on Face It in all of CSC. Former ECL player, which if any of our non premier or elite or ESCA players in stream know, ECL is the highest level of ESCA. Technically, it's the ESL Challengers League. Yeah, Jason was just a crazy player. I mean, if you look at him statistically, have anything else to say about him?
Averaged for reference, his lowest combine score was a .91. His next score after that was a 1.59, 1.41, 1.57. Also for reference, for in terms of like the ESL Challengers League, that's where Bait got the team that's playing currently at IM Krakow. That's where they got their start. They won enough in ESL Challengers to get enough VRS to end up qualifying to the major under the Ukrainian flag.
Yeah, so let's see what other picks we got going in. Kiri going to the Red Room, Clumsy or Cattell Clamarte, um, going to DRG, Kowalski going to the High Rollers, Aviary picking up Zalep, XTOs to Atlantis, D Kim to Upsetty Spaghetti. We found Kigu's new carry, it seems. Garbanzo going to Counterspell. Comrade going to Headhunters Guild, which I heard through some sources that Comrade said he was not going to play, but it seems he's changed his mind. Jay Gamby going to Order of the Samurai. Upsetty Spaghetti getting Stoby. Jung being, I think, probably kept by Headhunters Guild. Seems that they are pretty much just running it back with their roster from last season with Comrade, Talon, and Jung, minus Jack going to NA Nades, Schlenny going to Order of the Samurai, and then NA Nades picking up Sir Snipes. Which of these draft picks are sticking out to you? If you know anything about any of them.
I didn't. I casted a couple Premier games. Unfortunately, due to some mistakes in chat, ATL's IGL got banned. Before the final, and that kind of left them a little handicapped. But that's if that'll be a very interesting team to like look back at. I feel like everybody in this tier knows each other. I feel like it's very like buddy buddy, just
Pretty
because there's
much.
only 8 teams.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys have played on ESCA teams together. The reason Premier is played on Mondays with double headers is to like accommodate for a lot of these people having bigger commitments to ESCA teams, because the intermediate and up plays on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So um, that's kind of why this tier is a little different, and depending on who you ask, it's a Mickey Mouse tier, and the trophies don't mean anything. Looking at you, Kigu.
This
We
guy's
have couple draft picks coming in. Chummy going to the Aviary. He kind of was. I remember seeing him talking about how he didn't like that there wasn't some more I guess tryouts and ways to get your name out there for premier players, which I have heard from premier players in the past that like aren't like friendly with a lot of the other people, that it is a very clicky tier. But once you get in there and you start playing with the people, I think it gets better. Then we got Mace going to the High Rollers. Pact of Embers getting Light Pat, and then the Red Room picking up no trophies, aka Ashamed. No, Ashamed and Kiri wanted to play together, so I think they got that to work out pretty well. And then rounding off that round, Colsey going to Atlantis.
The name No Trophies is
Ashamed does have a few trophies, so especially known for carrying Kigu. Weird how that keeps coming up, guys. Sorry, I have to roast.
I think
I
this guy
have to
doesn't
roast my
like
former
Kigu.
GM. I have to roast the guy. I mean, it's in my blood to make fun of Kigu, but you
Hey,
know,
that trophy also gets added to the GM's title, so
Kigu is a great GM. Anyone who was drafted to Upsetty Spaghetti this season, he definitely will do a lot of demo review for you for the lower tiers, and he knows how to run a franchise pretty well. So I am making fun of him, but do not fear if you were drafted to that franchise.
let's pick at random. Let's see how Quack did this season as he's the last pick.
So Quack is part of my franchise. I don't know how he did this season. You can let us know. Last season though,
Combines, he's a dog.
yeah, last season Quack
Lowest rating
was
0.78.
lowest
but
rating 0.78, highest.
Highest, his peak 0.49. His average is a 1.29, which disgusting.
Yeah, Quack is great. I have Pug with Quack a decent amount. He was on the second best team in Elite last season, or I would say second in the standings. They didn't make it to the finals, but Quack was like a huge part of that. He was an MVP candidate, top 3 player in the tier in Elite last season. I don't want to fall too far behind because we did that in the last time. So Atlantis picking up Section, another former UPS Premier player. NA Nades picking up Barack Obama, longtime CSC player. Thug Shaken going to DRG. Fever going to Headhunters Guild. I think seeing somewhere maybe that Fever had some great stats. You can fact check me there. Aviator getting pulls. Space Monkey going to the Red Room. I think Space Monkey is really solid, so I think Red Room has a really good roster so far. Plat Messi going to Order the Samurai. He had some great stats, if I remember correctly. And then Tensai going to Counterspell. I think Tensai might be one of the most mechanically sound players I've seen in a while. And then Ruskin going to NA Nades.
In terms of Fever, he's new into the Premier. Longtime Elite player from what it looks like. He's one of just like the most consistent trade riflers in Elite. At least he has been for the last few seasons. He's just kind of been a dog. He's just always like in the fight. He's just always like there to support as like either a secondary or like the first one. But a peak of 1.65 in his combines.
Roger that. Okay, let's pick it up to round 4 because these picks are starting to go by pretty quick. Upsetty Spaghetti keeping Cloud Zeno, Goat Zeno. I love that guy so much. Wiz getting Bounty Hunter. The High Rollers keeping Hollow, who was again Elite playoff MVP last season. So some of these guys coming up from the previous season into this season, Quack and Hollow. Order the Samurai keeping Rod, who was the season 17 playoff MVP on the championship winning TSC roster. The Red Room drafting Reese. Bubbles J going to the Aviary. Dark Potato going to Headhunters Guild. Docta going to Pact of Embers. Upsetty Spaghetti using their third and final keeper pick or second, I guess, keeper pick because Kigu is probably near the bottom if I had to guess. Yep. Trance going to Upsetty Spaghetti. Took a season off, so He's a really good player. Unversed going to Atlantis, and then Nan keeping Jack, like I mentioned. Soma getting kept by the Red Room, AGM over there, and I don't know who's going to be opting for that team because I'm 90% sure that Kiri is an opper and Soma is also an opper. If I had to guess, it would be Kiri rifling. Jaden going to Pact of Embers. I think he might have been kept. He was, again, MVP candidate from last season's elite team of DRG. Kind of had weak combines, I would say, but again, I don't think combine ratings are like super important. The high rollers keeping Sway, who for a time was an elite before combines ended, but he's a really solid pure entry. Um, Dash Dev going to Atlantis. I don't know if there's any role overlap there. I don't remember if Atlantis had an opera already, but when they have back-to-back picks, I don't even know how to say yo-yo, maybe. I'm gonna say yo-yo.
Probably.
Um,
Also, I would like to say a clarification. This is Kivo's first season. He started directly into Elite for the Combines, dogged out, and now he is in Premier.
that was for which team drafted?
Fever.
Oh,
Fever.
Fever.
For HG.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I like to see these new DEs in Premiere. I think it's interesting. They're a good litmus test of like how the tier is going. Uh, we're already done, so I'll just try to get this done. I mean, we thankfully now that the draft is over, we don't have like a time restraint. Catalyst going to OS. Talon, like I said, being kept by Headhunters Guild. Sigma Goon going to Counterspell. Kigu being the last keeper pick for UPS, as is tradition. Uh, Atlantis getting Slipknot. Red Room getting. Oh, I'm going the wrong way, actually. So we'll go back to those. Sixas going to OS. Swiggly P going to Counterspell. Headhunters Guild getting Get Tooled. Upsetty Spaghetti using their last pick on Squirb. Elusive going to NA Nades. That's an interesting pick. Elusive, I think, started out in Prospect and had probably the most insane jump up in like tier and rating I've ever seen in combines. I think he's like level 6 or like 7 on Face It, and he's all the way up in Premiere. He's had like the most like crazy ratings. Um, gonna be interesting to see how that pairs with the number one MMR player in all of CSC with Jason Grembo to the
Yeah,
Aviary.
this is his first season.
Yeah,
From prospect to contender to Premier. It like he's he's kind of done it all. He's fragged out in pretty much every tier. In contender, he has a 2 KD. Um, he has a 2.3 if you count assists. Just kind
jeez.
of seems like an all around just insane player. Consistency of 98%, which gross to see even at a lower tier.
Yeah, I mean that guy is the truest, most you know surefire definition of a wild card. He could be great, and he could be the most lackluster player here. We have no idea. Um, Rounding off the sixth round, the high rollers getting tonic. I want to say tonic. 50-50 chance there. J
It's
Mount J Mount for DRG, Thule for the Red Room, and then Slipknot for Atlantis. With the last 3 picks going, Atlantis getting Galad and Red Room getting West, and Jardongus going to DRG. I don't know if it's like uh worth mentioning on the broadcast, but I do know that West and Jardongas both have like a match day ban, so they won't be playing uh,
Ooh.
for the first couple games if they stay on their rosters. That's why they were drafted this late. They're definitely not bad players or anything. Um, just as a general manager, like for someone to not be able to play the first three games, that's a tough one to do anything with. But there's 100% a chance that even if they don't get to stay on their roster, that if a team makes roster moves, that they'll get picked up. I mean, West was like one of the better players in Elite last season, and he's played well in Premier Combines, I think. And Jardongas is a really great aimer. So, um, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with those guys, and pretty much any of these guys out in the Premier landscape. Basically, there's most of these teams are going to have a 3-person core, and try to round it out with figure out who the last two guys are going to be with like DEs and other players, and um, that's kind of just how it goes with this place. But I mean, some of them like to have fun and don't sign anywhere at the start so they can go through the draft. But yeah, I
Absolutely. I
mean,
feel like that's part of the fun of it is kind of seeing where that'll end up. Also, you've been in CSC a little bit longer than I have. So with these match day bans, are they banned from like regular season or do they still play in preseasons?
they can play in preseason as far as I'm aware. I don't. I've never had one, so. Oh, and we got Fluffy on the stream. The last standing AGM on the broadcast.
That's dedication.
Hello, Fluffy. Um, yeah, I think they're allowed to play their preseason matches. I think but I think the match day bans start. Yeah, because the preseason, I don't know. I don't know. Someone can correct me maybe, but I don't know. I mean, think this one went pretty smooth. Not too many curious. I mean, you and I are neither of us playing Premiere. I know a decent amount of these people, but I don't play in the tier, so
This is always one of the most fun tiers to watch just because of how close it is to like this is the closest we have of like people in our orgs that is tier 1 CS, and especially
it's
like this is like cream of the crop of CSC, and this is
fair.
I hope to see more teams in here eventually, but again, it is this select because of just how good these players are.
Okay, I'm going to throw it back to the casters page, and we can finish off this broadcast. I think I had a great time producing this,
Yeah,
even
you
though it
did
was
fantastic
really
with the eh, I mean, what's life without a little bit of hiccups? But it
for
seems like
sure.
we got those cleaned over quickly. But thank you again for your hosting. It was good to yap with you through Elite and Premiere. It was nice to have your insights of with you being around this whole time. I'm I wish you best of luck in your season, and I hope you and HR do well.
Yeah, thanks for coming and hosting this whole thing. I know we're a little short on volunteers. Please join media so that we can have streams like this. And if you want to do graphics or writing, we're always needing new volunteers. So please join so I don't have to get on and do the most scuffed broadcast of all time.